Hello, this is Ludolphin here for Sentinels of the Multiverse Weekly One-Shot number 56. Unnatural Selection. Targath, the last Precedor, examined the remote scans of this mobile defense platform as his vessel approached the planet. It was primitive technology, to be sure, but it would serve his purposes. The shielding could be upgraded with auto-armor capabilities, allowing him to reach the necessary ley lines with a minimum of interference from the inhabitants below. They were innocent, and yet this dark deed must be done. It was for the greater good. It had to be. This one-shot requires Rook City, Infernal Relics, Wrath of the Cosmos, and Vengeance. So it requires Season 1 and Season 2, unless you buy the expansions individually. And it's advanced... Well, this is embarrassing. Deadline, duh, wow. Advanced Deadline. Against the Naturalist, Expatriette. That's a new hero. I should know this. I'm sorry, I've not played this game too much recently. K.N.Y.F. It's K.N.Y.F. It's a variant of K.N.Y.F. I don't actually know what the variant's name is, but that's K.N.Y.F. And Prime Wardens, Argent Adept, in the mobile defense platform. Alright, that's a blooper. You can all yell at me in the comments. You stand ready to defend your planet. That is good. Your planet will be saved, but you will not be spared. I shall save my planet, my habitat, my friends, and myself. I fight for these things. What do you fight for? Right, because Deadline and Naturalist are nemesis. That's cool. Alright, so starting hands. The Naturalist starts with Environmental Allies, Shifter's Strength, the Deadly Crocodile, and Threatening Stomp. Expatriette starts with Assault Rifle, Pride, and 2 unloads. K.N.Y.F. Rogue Agent, that is her name, K.N.Y.F. Rogue Agent, starts with Infiltrate and Obfuscate, Kinetic Neutralizer, Overdo It, and Primed Punch. And Prime Warden's Argent Adept starts with Alacritus Subdominant, Instrumental Conjuration, Rhapsody of Vigor, and Saraband of Destruction. So, and you can also see that Naturalist and Deadline are nemesis because their nemesis symbols are popping up and they share it. Deadline, Villain Radical Peacemonger. Setup. At the start of the game, Deadline enters play Radical Peacemonger side up. Atomic Endglaive is put into play. The villain deck is shuffled. Gameplay. At the end of the villain turn, if there are 3 or more Catastrophe cards in play, Deadline flips. Otherwise, the top card of the villain deck is played. Advanced. Whenever a Catastrophe card is destroyed, Deadline deals each hero target 3 infernal damage. So he's all about these catastrophes, and he has a lot of catastrophes in his deck. And he flips at the end of the villain turn if there are 3 or more in play. Otherwise, he plays the top card of his deck. So typically, he could start with a catastrophe, play a catastrophe at the end of his turn, and then on his next turn, he plays a catastrophe, and then at the end of his turn, he'll have 3 or more catastrophes in play. The advanced rule says that whenever a catastrophe is destroyed, he deals each target 3 infernal damage. So there's a penalty for destroying catastrophes in the advanced ruling. So why would you want to destroy them? Why don't we just let him flip? Well, when he flips, he becomes the Villain Remorseful Eco-Vandal. Gameplay. At the start of the villain turn, if there are no catastrophe cards in play, Deadline flips. At the end of the villain turn, all environment cards are destroyed, and the environment trash is shuffled into the environment deck. Then, all catastrophe cards are destroyed, and Deadline deals each non-villain target X irreducible fire damage, and removes the top X cards of the environment deck from the game, where X equals the number of catastrophe cards destroyed this turn. Then, if there are no cards in the environment deck, the heroes lose. Game over. Advanced. Whenever an environment card is destroyed, each hero character card deals itself 1 psychic damage. Wow. Okay, so if he flips, and he's only on this side temporarily, but when he flips, he destroys all environment cards, destroys all catastrophe cards, deals damage based on the number of catastrophe cards destroyed, and removes cards from the environment deck based on the number of catastrophes destroyed. And if there just so happen to be no cards left in the environment deck, we lost, because he just destroyed the environment. So, it's kind of bad to have him flip. And when he flips, he does damage based on the number of catastrophes. So he usually, he always flips if there are 3 or more catastrophes in play. So he'll certainly be destroying 3 at least. And so he'll be dealing each target at least 3 irreducible fire damage, and removes the top at least 3 cards from the environment deck. So basically, if he flips 5 times, you lose automatically. He could also potentially lose if he flips 4 times. To the side, I mean, not total flipping. But if he flips 5 times total, then that means that he's removed at least 15 cards, and the environment only has 15 cards in its deck. So you're on a deadline. You're on a timer. You have a deadline. You have to beat this game before that happens. But, you know, the standard way of preventing him from flipping is to destroy catastrophes, because all catastrophes are ongoing cards, so they are somewhat easy to get rid of, but you also have to deal with the fact that he'll be retaliating for each catastrophe destroyed. So, stuff to watch out for. Without further ado, let's see what he's doing. He always starts with Atomic Enclave, device. At the end of the villain turn, this card deals the hero target with the highest HP 3 energy damage. Not a particularly exciting device to always start with, but he does, so whatever. And his card play, Calculated Orogenesis, Ongoing Catastrophe. At the start of the villain turn, play the top card of the environment deck. Then, that environment card deals each non-villain target 2 melee damage. So this is a catastrophe, so we have one of the 3 that he needs to flip with. And it's an action at the start of the villain turn. I think all catastrophes act at the start of the villain turn, so we're not going to have this happen right away, but if it does go off, the environment will hit all of us for 2, which is 1 fewer point than Deadline hitting all of us for 3, so maybe this is a catastrophe worth destroying. Since there were not 3 or more in play, he's playing the Unleashed Hurricane. Ongoing Catastrophe. At the start of the villain turn, 2 players must put 1 card from hand on top of their deck. Then Deadline deals the 2 non-villain targets with the highest HP 1 cold damage each. So having 2 players put 1 card from hand on top of the deck sort of freezes that player's sort of card availability, because the card they will draw at the end of the turn is the card they just put on top of their deck. So it's a means of freezing a hero for a little bit. The damage, pretty small. 1 cold damage is negligible. So let's see. Which target is considered to have the highest HP? Well, if this hits Naturalist, it's fine because this is not Deadline dealing the damage, so maybe I'll just hit Naturalist to not have to deal with the Nemesis damage. Okay. So, Naturalist is a hero that was recently released with the Vengeance expansion, and as I said, I haven't been playing the game that much lately. There's a lot of stuff that's been happening personally. So I'm just going to go ahead and look through these cards. Environmental Allies is a means of protecting environment targets. It reduces damage dealt to them by 1. There's also this symbol. I want to say it's a deer, but I know it's not a deer. It's the gazelle symbol. This is the gazelle. So before I finish reading all of these cards, the Naturalist is a cool hero. His base power searches his deck or trash for a form, puts it into play, shuffles his deck if you search the deck, and he has 3 forms. He has the Deadly Crocodile, ongoing form. When this card enters play, destroy any other form cards. Increase damage dealt by the Naturalist by 1. You may activate Crocodile effects. Power. The Naturalist deals 1 target 2 melee damage. So each of these forms, you can only have 1 form in play unless you have fixed point in play, because whenever 1 form enters play, it destroys all the other ones. But each of them has a special effect. I guess the Gazelle doesn't actually have an automatic effect, it just has a power, but it has an effect for 2 out of 3. It has the text, you may activate animal effects for that particular animal, and it also provides an alternate power, because if he just uses base power, he could just keep changing forms. This one is to deal 1 target 2 melee damage, but that damage is increased by 1, so it's in fact 3 melee damage. We also have the Formidable Rhinoceros, ongoing form. When this card enters play, destroy any other form cards, reduce damage dealt to the Naturalist by 1, you may activate Rhinoceros effects. Power, draw 2 cards. This is the sort of counter to the Crocodile. The Crocodile is more offensive, deals damage and increases damage dealt by the Naturalist. The Rhinoceros is more defensive. It reduces damage dealt to the Naturalist, and the power is just to draw cards. To, I guess, build up more of a deck. And then we have the Nimble Gazelle, ongoing form. When this card enters play, destroy any other form cards. You may activate Gazelle effects. Power, the Naturalist regains 3 HP. So this one doesn't have an automatic effect. It does activate Gazelle effects, and the power is 3 gain HP. So it's more recovery based. So we have the offensive based, the defensive based, and the recovery based animals. But the nice thing about them is that a lot of the cards that the Naturalist has, some of them have text that's independent of the animal, and then there's text dependent on which animal is in play. So if I play Environmental Allies, it's ongoing, so it will last. But if I was a Gazelle, then hero targets would be immune to damage dealt by environment targets. So this would be a sort of a nice way to counter the calculated orogenesis, because it would play the top card of the environment deck, and then that card deals each non-villain target 2 melee damage. But unless the environment plays a target, the Environmental Allies only stops damage dealt by environment targets. So, and the mobile defense platform does have quite a few targets. It has 2, 4, 6, 7, 10 targets out of 15, so a 67% chance that a target would be played and damage prevented. But anyway. Then we have Shifter's Strength, which is a means of saying, okay, I don't really like what's in my hand. I'm going to get rid of a lot of these cards. I'm going to draw replacement cards, and then I'm going to see what I want to do next. Deadly Crocodile, which is a form, and it provides the power that I could use. And then Threatening Stomp, which has the effect of dealing 1 target 4 melee damage. And if you're a Rhinoceros, then damage dealt by a target damaged this way is redirected to the Naturalist until the start of your turn. So it's worth mentioning before I'm actually sort of procrastinating, trying to figure out what to do. I'm just going to ramble. The word may is in here. You may activate these effects, but the video game does automate it for the sake of ease. There's a checkbox here, automatically activate animal effects. You can check it on or off. You can uncheck it if you want to have that option, because maybe you don't want to. Maybe you're a Rhinoceros and you want to deal damage, but you really don't want that damage to be redirected to the Naturalist. Or maybe you don't want hero targets to be immune to damage dealt by environment targets. Or maybe you want the specific heroes to be dealt damage by environment targets because of retaliation effects. If we need to do that, I'll disable the option briefly, but if you're playing multiplayer, these options are set and can't be changed. You have to change them before the game starts, so be careful there. Alright, so what am I going to do? Well, as I said, if the calculated orogenesis were to play an environment target, then environmental allies coupled with the Gazelle would stop the heroes from being dealt damage. Otherwise, we will want to try to destroy the calculated orogenesis, because the retaliation of Deadline dealing each hero target 3 infernal damage is 1 fewer point than the calculated orogenesis, plus we lose that environment play. And I know we do have some ongoing destruction somewhere, I just forgot where. Argent Adept has it, except here's a little plot twist. This is Prime Warden's Argent Adept. His base power does not activate a perform text, so we can't actually destroy the ongoing card. So that's going to be a little bit of an issue. Okay, well, so what am I going to do then? Well, I don't know that we particularly want to protect the environment just yet. Because a lot of the environment cards, I believe, are actually bad for heroes. Because this deals hero damage, this deals hero damage, this is neutral, this is something to protect for sure, and this doesn't. This is neutral. A lot of these don't hurt Deadline at all, so it doesn't really. We don't really want to reduce their damage right now, unless we get that structure card that ends the game. I could play Shifter's Strength and see what we get, but I don't know. I probably want to hold on to Threatening Stomp, maybe, for a rainy day. I could play Deadly Crocodile, and the nice thing about Deadly Crocodile is that this would do extra damage to Deadline. It would get the damage increased by this card and the damage increased by the Nemesis bonus. I think I want to do that, just out of indecision. So I think that's a good idea, to target the Nemesis with the Nemesis. And Naturalist draws a Natural Born Vigor. Interesting thing about this card, it lets you use an additional power. And at the start of your turn, the Naturalist may regain 4 HP if he does destroy this card. I read in the Fireside chat that Migrant P posted on the Greater Than Games forums that this card only gets destroyed if Naturalist regains the full 4 hit points. So if you're only 3 hit points away from max and you regain 3 HP, you didn't regain 4 HP, and therefore this card is not destroyed. So you could use this card for free healing if you're close to max, which seems a bit cheap in my opinion, but I guess you're not really that close to max that often. Alright, so Expatriette has 2 guns and 2 unloads. Unload lets her use as many powers as she has guns in play, which she has no guns in play, so these are not 100% useful right now. Pride does 2 damage, and Assault Rifle does 3 targets, 2 damage. So I think we're going to do the Assault Rifle. That seems immediately better, because this will hit Deadline, as well as the Atomic Enclave, and I don't need to hit anyone else. Next Patriot draws the Hair Trigger Reflexes. I don't think Deadline has any other targets in his deck. I take that back. Deadline has 3 more targets in his deck. I was kidding, guys. He has 3 more targets in his deck, so Hair Trigger Reflexes would be useful for hitting those targets, as well as the 10 environment targets if we so want to hit them. Alright, so K.N.Y.F.E is one of the 5, well, I guess technically 4 new heroes, because Setback was already in here. So let's just take a quick look at these cards. Infiltrate and Obfuscate. This is a means of redirecting damage from an environment target to a villain target, provided that there is one with the second highest HP. Kinetic Neutralizer is a means of increasing damage dealt by K.N.Y.F.E to the villain target with the highest HP by 1, which of course is Deadline. Overdo It, which lets her play a card at the start of her turn as long as she takes 2 psychic damage at the end of her turn. And then Primed Punch, which provides a damage-dealing power, which this version of K.N.Y.F.E does not have. Well, base power, rather. Because her base power is to reveal the bottom card of a deck, either put it into play or discard it. So we're going to have to figure out what we're going to do with that. I could put out Primed Punch and do 1-on-1 damage, but maybe I want to reveal the bottom card of a deck, get someone a little more set up. Because this could be done on any deck. Could be done on the environment deck, except that card would potentially get destroyed by Deadline's turn. I don't think there are too many useful cards for us in the environment deck. And then we could also do it on Deadline, except it could put it... Well, I guess if we see a catastrophe, we could just discard it. The player discard means it could be useful for heroes as well as non-heroes, but I see it more useful for heroes because you can get an extra card into play for free. But who do we want to do that on, and what do we want to do with K.N.Y.F.E? Well, I think Kinetic Neutralizer together with Primed Punch is a good combination. So, question is, do I want to start with the Kinetic Neutralizer and then use base power, or do I want to play Primed Punch and use Primed Punch, or do I want to use play Primed Punch and use base power? I feel like 2 points of damage isn't significant enough. So let's put the Kinetic Neutralizer in play, and then let's look at the bottom of K.N.Y.F.'s deck, because that could potentially do more than 2 points. Card revealed, Focusing Conduit Blade. This increases energy damage dealt by K.N.Y.F., which is nice with Primed Punch, because one of the points of damage is energy damage, so that's useful. I definitely want that in play. And K.N.Y.F. draws an Energy Burn, which deals energy damage. Deals 3 energy damage, then if that target has 10 or more HP, deal it 2 energy damage. Oh boy, that's gonna chain well with what we just got into play. That's good. Good plays. Alright, so Prime Wardens, Argent, Adept. His base power is to put the bottom card of his deck into play. He may activate in the company text. So we have 3 songs, but only one of them has an accompany, which says you may use a power now. And if you do, you destroy this card, which is not useful. We have an instrumental conjuration, which allows us to search for any instrument and get it into play, but without a song, it's not fully useful. And then we have two melodies, which only have perform texts. So how much card destruction does he have? He only has it in a catastrophe, which destroys 2 hero ongoing and/or equipment cards at the start of the villain turn. So, Saraband of Destruction, if I were to play it now just to have it in play for a later turn, it wouldn't be too bad. So I'm going to do that. And now let's put the bottom card into play. That card is Arcane Cadence. So, the fun thing about Arcane Cadence with Prime Wardens, Argent, Adept is that one of the actions is to put a card on the bottom of his deck, which, if he uses base power, puts that card into play. So I could intentionally set this up for Argent Adept to play a specific card on the bottom of his deck and then activate it with the accompany text, if it's a song. Or I could have him play an Arcane Cadence from the bottom of his deck. Polyphoric Flare, I think, is more useful once Argent Adept is more set up, but he's not set up right now. Syncopated Onslaught is useful, though, if we can get the performable rhythm. And since we can't just activate performs willy-nilly, the only way of activating the performable rhythm is via Zoo's Bell. Zoo's Bell is the only way of activating the performable rhythm. So we're probably going to want Zoo's Bell at some point, which means we need to play the instrumental conjuration. So if I'm going to do that, well, if I put Syncopated Onslaught in play, I will be able to activate as a company text, so I can deal 1 target 1 sonic damage, which is more than nothing, so I probably want to play the Onslaught. We have the Alacritus Subdominant in hand, but it's nice to have duplicates, because if I use it as a company to use a power, then that card gets destroyed. So if I want to keep its perform for extra card plays, I'll need to hold on to duplicates. And Arcane Cadence is, as I said, more powerful with the Prime Wardens, Argent, Adept. But one of these has to go in my hand. 1 on top, 1 on the bottom, 1 in the trash, and 1 played. Well, the Onslaught we know is getting played, so there's 4 other things. And I think the Polyphoric Flare, or one of them, is going to end up in the trash. So we have 3 accounted for. Now we need hand, top, and... Wait, what am I forgetting? Hand, top... I guess the bottom is what I'm forgetting. Trash is the Flare, and play is the Onslaught. So, hand, top, bottom. Well... I guess we could put the Polyphoric Flare on the bottom, actually. Although, I guess if I play Instrumental Conjuration, it will get shuffled. So it's actually better to put the Flare on the bottom because it's going to get shuffled anyway. So, Arcane Cadence or Alacritus Subdominant on top doesn't matter. So, Cadence in hand, Subdominant on top, Flare on bottom, Flare in trash, Onslaught played, use the Onslaught. I'm just going to focus damage on Deadline, because if we can beat him before he destroys us all, then it doesn't matter what the Englaive does. Let me draw that Alacritus Subdominant, as we said. Birth. Level. When this card enters play, destroy any other level cards. The first time a target enters play each turn, play the top card of the environment deck. So the start of the turn, Deadline plays Battalion Brutes. Now we're going to have 2 fun interactions. Calculated Orogenesis is going to have the Battalion Brute deal each hero target 2 melee damage. And it is a target, so we would have been able to prevent that damage had I done the Gazelle thing. But Birth is also going to play the top card of the environment deck. I guess I should read this card. Battalion Brute. Minion. At the end of the environment turn, this card deals the hero target with the highest HP, 1 melee and 1 lightning damage, which is less than 2. And shield generator. Structure. Reduce damage dealt to environment targets by 1. So it's going to be harder to deal with the Battalion Brute. Battalion Brute's also hitting himself, which is a fun fact, but that damage is reduced by 1 thanks to the shield generator. And it's hitting all of the heroes for 2. So now 2 heroes must put 1 card from hand on top of their deck. Deadline deals 2 targets 1 cold damage each. Well, the highest HP ones, which will be K.N.Y.F.E and Expatriette. So, which heroes don't mind having a stall? Well, I mean, Argent Adept is going to shuffle his deck once he gets Zoo's Bell out, so the card he puts on top will be lost. But he does have two copies of the Subdominant, which I said, you know, it's nice to have duplicates of, but now it's like, well, I can just lose one of them. And, well, I don't know, the Naturalist wants to be frozen. But Expatriette, I guess, could just stall. I guess we could also stall K.N.Y.F.E. I mean, obviously we wanted to play that primed punch, but with the primed punch, she has a lot of potential anyway. So let's have the Argent Adept put the Subdominant on top, and then we'll have K.N.Y.F.E. We won't do energy burn. I think we'll lose Overdo It, because K.N.Y.F.E. needs to be able to draw cards in order to play Overdo It effectively. Alright, so Deadline played Auto Armor Caster device. The first time damage will be dealt to Deadline each turn, prevent that damage. Alright, so now it's even harder to hit Deadline. And it was not a... we did not have 2 catastrophes. We didn't have 3 or more catastrophes in play. So instead, Deadline's playing a card, which happens to be the 3rd catastrophe. Magnetic Pole Shift. Ongoing catastrophe. At the start of the villain turn, discard the top 2 cards of each non-villain deck and destroy 2 hero ongoing and/or equipment cards. So this doesn't really work well with Unleashed Hurricane, because the 2 players put 1 card from hand on top of their deck, and then Magnetic Pole Shift discards the top 2 cards, so that card will be discarded. So Deadline is going to flip at the end of his next turn, so those start of turn actions will still trigger. So we will be losing 2 ongoing or equipment cards if we don't destroy that. Let's just hit Expatriette, I suppose. Alright, so we are in quite a dilemma here. Auto Armor Caster is stopping us from hitting Deadline. We have 3 catastrophes, so Deadline's flipping. So what do we do? The only hero that is still capable of destroying ongoing cards right now is Argent Adept, but in order to destroy them, I have to use the Instrumental Conjuration to not get Zoo's Bell out, but rather to get a Melody activating one to activate the Saraband of Destruction. But if I do that, then Deadline's going to hit each of us for 3 infernal damage. Not good. So environmental allies will reduce further damage to environment targets, but I don't think that's a good play. Natural Born Vigor allows for an extra power. I don't think Naturalist needs it. I mean, he could use the Crocodile power and then use his base power to transform into a Rhinoceros. And then he'd have damage reduction. Doesn't help with the irreducible damage, though. Shifter's Strength. We could discard some of these cards to see a better option. Threatening Stomp deals 4 melee damage, and then the Rhinoceros text would not activate. Well, I could do 5 to the Auto Armor Caster, and then 3 with the Deadly Crocodile, and then Assault Rifle would be able to take it out, and then Expatriette could hit Deadline and the Atomic Enclave, so I think that's the most useful. Naturalist draws Crafty Assault, which deals damage, and if you're a Gazelle, destroys up to 2 ongoing cards. So now we have our second hero capable of destroying ongoing cards as long as Naturalist is a Gazelle. Okay. Well, Hero Trigger Reflexes I don't think is an exciting play. Pride would at least set up for a unload later, so we'll do Pride and then we'll Assault Rifle the things. And now I can hit Deadline. And now we'll hit the Enclave. Because those environment targets will be destroyed by Deadline anyway. Expatriate draws Liquid Nitrogen rounds, which is probably a good thing to have, because we could Liquid Nitrogen Deadline, and then we could destroy the catastrophes on his front side more easily. He'll do less damage. Alright, so Primed Punch deals 1 melee and 1 energy, which will turn into 2 melee and 3 energy against Deadline. And K.N.Y.F E draws Overdo It, which we knew. We put that on top of his deck. Her deck, not his. Sorry, her! Okay, so I don't think there's much merit in... Let me think. Yeah, I don't really think there's much merit in destroying Catastrophe, because he'll retaliate for 3 infernal damage. He is going to destroy 2 of our cards, which is going to be sad, but I don't know that there's I mean, there are a lot of things that we can potentially destroy. And the nice thing about forms, they can be destroyed since they're ongoings, but his base power searches his trash as well, so we could get that crocodile out easily. Forms are easily replaceable. But although it will sacrifice basically Naturalist's next turn, since his card play wouldn't get the benefit from the form. But yeah, I think... Yeah, I definitely think the Perform, increasing damage dealt by K.N.Y.F E at least, because if she plays Energy Burn on Deadline with all of the damage increases, that will deal 6 energy damage and then 5 energy damage, and then Primed Punch is going to do 3 melee damage and 4 energy damage, which is a lot. Plus, she has a lot of one-shots. Well, she only has 1 in her hand right now, but she has a lot of one-shots, potentially. So I think Zoo's Bell is wise. So let me just double-check that is in my deck. Wasn't discarded somehow. Zoo's Bell. And we draw another Syncopated Onslaught, so Argent Adept can potentially lose one of them and sacrifice his next card play. So activate the Perform of the Onslaught. So definitely increased damage dealt by K.N.Y.F E. There is going to be a problem here, though. Let's not forget the fact that whenever an environment card is destroyed, each hero character card deals itself 1 psychic damage. I forgot about this. I just remembered it. So currently 3 environment cards, potentially 4 on the environment card play phase, potentially 5 with the calculated Orogenesis. Someone's gonna hit themselves for a lot. Actually, I think. Oh my god. Okay, I think we're definitely gonna have Naturalist lose the Deadly Crocodile because he's going to be hitting himself for 5 too many hit points with it. I think I'm okay with K.N.Y.F E having that. Still, I don't know that I want anyone else to have this increase. Is the 5 hit points of self-damage worth doing extra damage? I'm gonna say no. But I can still do 1 point of damage somewhere. We'll hit deadline. This is gonna be rough. Sadistic Dissonant. The perform text is a nice way of destroying any card in the game. I've actually used this to destroy titles against Cargo Warfang. That's, other than End of Days, I think that's the only 2 ways you can destroy a title. So we could use this to destroy catastrophes. However, it's hard to activate the perform text with Prime Wardens. That's the general thing. It's always hard to do it. Oh, well, yeah, and Birth is going to play an extra card. And this is going to reveal a level. I guess I should have read those cards out loud. Well, MDP Turbo Lift. When this card enters play, reveal cards from the top of the environment deck until a structure or level card is revealed. Put it into play, discard the other revealed cards, and destroy this card. The card revealed was the Propulsion System's structure. If this card is reduced to 0 or fewer HP, everyone dies, game over. So the good news is it doesn't end the game if it's destroyed, it's only if it's reduced to 0 or fewer hit points. So, even though Deadline is going to destroy it, it's fine. Fine. Alright, Deadline. Card played was Bridge. Level. When this card enters play, destroy any other level cards. Increase damage dealt to and by environment targets by 1. Oh, that's super nice, because this card's going to do extra damage. Oh wait, why isn't it? Oh, because it's not an environment target. Right, okay. That's fine. Alright, who thinks this is still winnable? Of course it's still winnable. I just forgot about the extra damage. 2 players must put 1 card from hand on top of their deck and then deal damage. So, well, if Argent Adept's gonna play the Syncopated Onslaught, we need to hold on to that. But yes. He could put Syncopated Onslaught. Oh no, wait, this card's gonna get discarded. I think Argent Adept could lose the Sadistic Dissonant. I don't think it's a particularly exciting card in this game, sorry. And Expatriette could ditch the Hair Trigger Reflexes. Because the next catastrophe is going to discard the top 2 cards of our decks. So we're losing a lot of cards. And we're destroying 2 cards now. So Deadly Crocodile was 1. And what was I thinking of? I guess we should look at what's in our trash. Naturalist discarded Shifter Strength and Primal Charge. Expatriette discarded Hair Trigger Reflexes and RPG Launcher. K.N.Y.F.E discarded Focusing Conduit Blade and Prototype Servo Gauntlet, which is a little sad because this also increases melee damage dealt by K.N.Y.F.E and also provides an option for ongoing destruction. And Argent Adept discarded Sadistic Dissonance and Instrumental Conjuration. So we're losing one of these cards. I said I was going to destroy the Syncopated Onslaught. Would I rather do something else to get better set up? Nah. Might as well do it. Save the other cards. So we get another catastrophe, which is just there to destroy more of the environment. And each time an environment card is destroyed, we're dealing ourselves damage. And then destroying catastrophes. There's no retaliation on this side for destroying catastrophes. Being dealt 4 irreducible fire because we're fine. Cards were removed from the game, so what cards were removed? Battalion Gunner, Battalion Mechanic, Shield Generator, Skydeck. I don't think you can actually see what those cards are at this point. So, if you're wondering what those cards were, sorry. Have to check out the deck outside of the game. Propulsion Systems is still in the deck, so we could still lose if this gets destroyed if it enters play. It's not in play right now, which is good. Just consider to have the second highest HP. We'll hit Argent Adept. We're still alive. Okay. Well, if Naturalist plays Natural Born Vigor, you could play a form with his base power and use it as well. And we have the environmental allies. And we have the Crafty Assault, which are Gazelle cards. We don't have any other cards. We don't have the Rhinoceros cards or the Crocodile cards. This does do damage, the Crafty Assault, which would be increased by the Crocodile. But we are still on his flip side. The good news is there's no way for Deadline to get a Catastrophe into play before the start of his next turn, so he will flip. Some environment decks can potentially have the villain play extra cards. Let me just double check that this is not one of those decks. Yeah. However, the Turbo Lift is still in play, or still in the deck. If this card gets played, it destroys itself. As soon as it enters play, it destroys itself. And then the heroes will deal themselves damage. So the Rhinoceros seems a little safer. And the Rhinoceros power is to draw 2 cards. So this would help the Naturalist find the cards he would really like to have. On the other hand, the Nimble Gazelle's power is to regain hit points. And we just took a lot of damage that turn. So it might be prudent to opt for the HP recovery to save the Naturalist. Plus, we can potentially utilize the Crafty Assault or the Environmental Allies. But I think Natural Born Vigor is what we want to do. And we'll search my deck. I believe it's in this deck. Gazelle's in the deck. And we'll use it to regain hit points. And Naturalist draws the Predator's Eye. Increase damage dealt to one target by 1 until the start of your turn. So, that's good. Okay, well, if I put the liquid nitrogen rounds on Deadline, or on the assault rifle, and I use it to hit Deadline and the Endglaive, then actually the Naturalist could use the Crafty Assault to destroy 2 ongoings if 2 ongoings get played, and the retaliation will be lessened. So I'm going to do that. And Expatriette draws another Here Trigger Reflexes. Alright, I could use this to deal 1 target 4 melee damage. If she deals damage this way, destroy this card. I don't want to deal damage this way. Alright, so I could use Energy Burn now. This, since K.N.Y.F.E was already syncopated onslaughted. Could put Infiltrate and Obfuscate out. Or I could overdo it and die. Now let's Energy Burn. Utilize these augments. And then we shall... Let's see. Yeah, I don't want to destroy this card. Alright, Syncopated Onslaught has done 4 more hit points of damage to Deadline this turn at the expense of K.N.Y.F.E taking 5 extra hit points. K.N.Y.F.E draws a Wrecking Uppercut, which does melee damage. So we'd like to have the melee boost if we could. I was going to do the Syncopated Onslaught, but now I feel like... Because if the environment plays something that destroys itself, we will hit ourselves for more again. And K.N.Y.F.E is close to dying. So I think I want to try Arcane Cadence and see what can happen. I'm gonna do Arcane Cadence. Alright, we have the Scherzo, Frost and Flame, Alacritus Subdominant, Polyphoric Flare, Rhapsody of Vigor, Inspiring Supertonic. Inspiring Supertonic is great. Its perform text is 1 hero may use a power now. Can't activate it right now. But I do want to keep that one. We have a Rhapsody of Vigor in hand, but if I have 2 copies of them and I get Drake's Pipes, I can activate both of them and all of my hero targets will regain 2 hit points. And potentially an environment target if we want to keep it alive. Polyphoric Flare is not what I want. Alacritus Subdominant, it's Scherzo, Frost and Flame. Well, certainly the Inspiring Supertonic is going to get played, and if I use, I'm going to certainly be using the base power to this turn. I could activate it for the Argent Adept to regain 2 HP. This will keep the Argent Adept alive for a little bit longer. Scherzo, Frost and Flame I know is one of those cards that is part of the Argent Adept 30 damage combo, which unfortunately can't be done with the Prime Wardens Argent Adept because it requires you to activate the perform of Syncopated Onslaught 3 times. That's all I know of the 30 damage combo. I can play 2 of these since I'm going to be putting the bottom card into play, so... Flare is going in the trash. 2 of these will go in my hand, 2 of them will go into play. So which, besides Inspiring Supertonic, what would I like to have in play? Probably Alacritus Subdominant. I wish I could draw an extra card, but I can't right now. So, Scherzo in hand, Rhapsody on top, Alacritus on the bottom, Flare in the trash, Supertonic in play. We'll put the bottom card into play, and we'll activate the perform, or the accompany of the Inspiring Supertonic. And we draw the Rhapsody of Vigor. Environment plays the MDP Turbo Lift, so we are going to be dealing ourselves 1 point of damage. It reveals the shield generator. Card's destroyed, we deal ourselves damage. Deadline flipped back. Unnatural Disaster, 1-shot, reveal the top 3 cards of the villain deck. Put all catastrophe cards revealed into play. Discard the other cards revealed this way. 3 cards revealed. Severed Leyline. Ongoing Catastrophe. At the start of the villain turn, each player shuffles their trash into their deck and Deadline regains 2 HP. Subduction Superzone. Ongoing Catastrophe. At the start of the villain turn, Deadline deals each non-villain target 1 irreducible melee and 1 irreducible fire damage. And Severed Leyline. 3 catastrophes. Yay! I want to regain the 4 hit points. If I do that, I destroy this card. On the other hand, it will keep Naturalist alive, and I don't have a use for an extra power right now. Unless I wanted to switch forms, but I want to say the Gazelle, I think. I will regain 3 hit points, but I'm going to take 3 and 3. Yeah, I'm going to regain it. But I'm definitely destroying 2 of those catastrophes. I think the Subduction Superzone has to get destroyed, because that's going to hit Naturalist for 4 damage. And it's irreducible, which is sad. we're gonna do the crafty assault. So I can hit deadline. I said ley line. I could, well, I might as well hit the atomic enclave, and I might as well, whatever. I don't need to hit anything else. There's no redirects happening. But definitely destroy the subduction super zone, because that's gonna hit deadline, or Naturalist for too much. And this is gonna hurt. I mean, it by itself, the severed ley line isn't too bad, but the fact that it's 2 of 3 catastrophes for him to flip, yeah. I mean, we either destroy it and take this damage, or we let him flip and we take a lot of damage, so whatever. Let's regain the hit points. Naturalist draws Bestial Shift. So, okay, so it's a one-shot and it has 3 forms on it, and we're currently the Gazelle. So the text is, the Naturalist regains 3 hit points. You may use a power now. If that power is to change forms, we could change into the Rhinoceros, and the Rhinoceros has an innate damage reduction of 1. And the one-shot then says, now that the other text is activated, reduce damage dealt to the Naturalist by 1 until the start of your next turn. So Naturalist would have damage reduction by 2. Or we could put the Crocodile back into play, and then the Crocodile text would be active. The Naturalist deals 1 target 3 toxic damage. You may use a power now. Which we can't use his base power more than once in a turn, but we could use this to activate more than 1 text. Since we are Gazelle, we could get the Crocodile in play, deal damage to deadline, and then we'd be the Crocodile, and we could deal damage that way, in addition to the hit point recovery. So that's an exciting option. Okay, so the assault rifle is going to take out the atomic enclave, so that's good. We're not going to take 3 energy damage extra each turn. The question is, unload or not unload? On one hand, that will only do 4 points of damage to deadline this turn, and potentially 4 points in the next turn if Expatriette survives. On the other hand, the hair trigger reflexes is a boring play, and it's not going to be useful. It's not going to stop. It's not going to let Expatriette hit the environment since the shield generator's in play. I mean, there is 1 more target in play, or in the deck, but that's a 1 in 14 chance, and the environment has a 6 out of 8 chance of playing a target. On the other hand, unloads are like the potions in RPGs, where it's like, I don't want to use this potion, I'm gonna save it for an emergency, and then you beat the game and you're like, oh, I have 73 potions, why didn't I use them? I'm gonna use it. I have 2 guns, I can use 2 powers. I could use base power to play a card, but my card plays aren't exciting. And we'll shoot deadline with pride. Expatriette draws arsenal access. Could potentially get more guns or ammos. I don't want to deal damage this way, do I? Yeah, I don't think I want to deal damage this way. I need to keep the 1-on-1 damage dealer. Wrecking Uppercut will deal 3 melee damage and discard the top card of the villain deck, so let's do that. Because potentially K.N.Y.F.E could die. Fun fact. The card discarded was Subduction Super Zone, so we didn't get another catastrophe out there. And now I can use Primed Punch again, I think. I think that's still more damage than the Focusing Conduit Blade. I could be wrong, though. I think it doesn't really matter. For the greater good, 1-shot. K.N.Y.F.E deals herself 3 psychic damage. She has 2 hit points. She'll die to this, so that's not particularly exciting. Alright. Well, the good news is we are on Deadline's front side. So, I think I think we do want a Syncopated Onslaught. And I don't have another one in play, do I? Or, what am I thinking? No, I don't have it in play currently, right? I destroyed it. I have one in hand. So I think we're going to Zeus Bell. So increase damage dealt by those targets by 1. So I think K.N.Y.F.E, I mean, she's only going to be able to increase 2 points of damage this way, right? Basically, I'm thinking I need to win the game in the next round. Or maybe just like K.N.Y.F.E needs to finish up her actions in the next round, because 2 hit points is rather low. If Deadline plays another Unnatural Disaster, K.N.Y.F.'s dead anyway, and we're probably all dead at that point anyway. But K.N.Y.F.E is not going to last long, so we probably want to utilize K.N.Y.F.'s damage as much as possible. So if she uses the start of turn primed punch to deal 4 melee damage, and then uses this power to deal 3 energy damage, I think that's the best damage she can do. None of these cards will help, because this will kill her and this will kill her, so Infiltration Obfuscate is the only play that K.N.Y.F.E has right now. If I increase Expatriette's damage, it will be... So I'm trying to figure out the optimal source of damage dealing, but K.N.Y.F.E will do 2 extra points. Expatriette will do 2 extra points. Naturalist, if he uses Bestial Shift, he'll do 1 extra point with the Crocodile text, and then 1 extra point with the Crocodile power. And I think it is better to do that than Predator's Eye. Predator's Eye would increase damage dealt to Deadline by 1, which would affect the 2 instances of Expatriates and the 2 instances of K.N.Y.F.'s. And then he could deal or no, can't, because he's not a crocodile. But that would just do 4 extra points of damage versus the damage that he can potentially do. So all of these heroes can do only 1 extra point of damage, but the 2 that are more likely to survive the environment and villain turns are Naturalist and Expatriette. So we should increase their damage. Of course, if Deadline flips and then destroys environment cards, they're going to hit themselves for more. So, yeah. I could destroy Alacritus Abdominant to use the Conduct, get the bottom card of a deck into play, and then activate power, or activate in the company. I could do 1 extra hit point to Deadline. I could regain 2 hit points. And I don't know what's on the bottom of my deck. I could look in my deck and see what can potentially happen. Do we have any... Did we discard all of them? The Polyphoric Flares are all in the trash? Okay. So there's no risk of Argent Adept hitting himself. We could get a Vernal Sonata. That would be super nice. And if I get an Instrumental Conjuration, I could activate the Perform of the Alacritus Abdominant again to activate the power, which could potentially activate the Perform of the Inspiring Supertonic. Yeah, let's risk it. Well, so the key thing about this, you may use a power now if you do destroy this card. So first we're using a power. Once the power resolves, then this card gets destroyed. So you get the bottom card into play, and then we can activate in the company text. So the Alacritus Abdominant is still in play. I could activate its company text a second time, because it's not like a power. Powers you can only use once, but Performs and Accompanies you can activate several times. But put the bottom card of your deck into play. That card... Inspiring Supertonic. Okay, that's depressing. Alright, that didn't change anything. I was hoping to get an instrument, because that would have been fun. But now I don't have any other powers I can use, so Either Argent Adept deals 1 point of damage or regains 2 hit points, and I think the 2 hit points is more important. Argent Adept draws Vernal Sonata. Why were you on the top and not the bottom? Jeez. Alright. Propulsion systems. So if that is reduced to 0 or fewer, we die. Each player shuffles their trash into their deck and Deadline regains 2 HP. Was that going to cause an issue? If we had played Vernal Sonata, I guess I would have spent like 5 minutes figuring out what I want on top of my decks, but this is fine because I don't think that our decks were manipulated at all. This does mean that Argent Adept's things are back in his deck. Calculated Orogenesis. And Calculated Orogenesis. We have 3 catastrophes. So can we win in this turn? 31 points of damage. Go, go, go. Bestial Shift. Regains 3 hit points. We shall use this. Search my deck for the crocodile. And now I can deal 3 points of toxic damage. Increased by a lot because Nemesis. And I could use this power with Bestial Shift, or I could skip it and use this power on my power phase. Doesn't really matter. And Shifter's Strength. Okay. Let's see. Increase damage dealt by Expatriette by 1. Currently, she's going to do 3 and 3 with her guns. If she reveals anything, it's not going to be better. So unload. Is this going to work? And I'm going to ping the shield generator, because if I can destroy that, it will at least be 1 fewer card destroyed on Deadline's flip side. Liquid nitrogen rounds. I think the best damage was using this. This is currently going to do 5 points. So 5 points, and then this will do 5 points as well because energy damage is increased. So 5 and 5 is 10 versus skipping and then using this power is 5. Because K.N.Y.F.E is definitely dead when Deadline flips. Naturalist can potentially survive. And Argent Adept can potentially survive. Expatriette, who knows at this point. I don't actually, because of the 2 calculated Orogenesis, it's actually even worse because we're going to take 2 hit points twice. And then cards will be destroyed. We're going to deal ourselves 1 damage 4 times. And then we're going to... I don't want to think about this. Optimal damage is this. I'm probably dead. But I'm not going down without a fight. This will kill me. This does nothing. This will kill me. Might as well play that, just so I have something. I could actually, okay, reveal the bottom card of a deck. Either put it into play or discard it. I don't think that's going to do more than 5 points of damage. But it could be fun. Can we do anything on this turn? Argent Adept, can you do anything to save us? Because 5 points of damage will put Deadline down to 4. We need to do 4 points of damage. Syncopated Onslaught will do 1, potentially increased by 1 to 2. So Deadline will be down to 2. Yeah, I really don't think this is going to work at this point. I tried. I mean, Naturalist has damaging one-shots. Expatriette doesn't, like, she has a lot of guns and a lot of ammos, but that's not going to matter if she dies. If we reveal Bestial Shift, that's great. Blend into the pack, not super exciting. Wonder Beast, no. 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 That is good. 3 copies of that. Nope. 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 That would sort of be equivalent to K.N.Y.F E doing damage. Predators, I would increase damage by 1, which is not going to help. Ugh. Okay. Okay. Yeah, this is gonna deal each non-villain target 2 melee damage. Good news is that Deadline's not gonna flip until the end of his turn. So the shield generator will be destroyed by the 2 calculated orogeneses. Propulsion systems will be safe. Oh man, can I keep... Let's see. So we have 3 catastrophes. Deadline can potentially put 1 or 3 or 0 or 2 into play when he flips. And then he's going to do 4... Well, 3, 4, 5, or 6 irreducible fire, which will be 4, 5, 6, or 7 to the Naturalist. Naturalist will already have taken 4 from the environment, so he'll be down to 3. And then the environment cards that are destroyed, Naturalist hits himself for 1 each, which with the Deadly Crocodile is bad. Okay, I think I have to play this safe. If I have any chance. Like, I could go balls to the wall, but it's not going to work. Unless we can get, if I can get the harp or the lyra into play. Harp would be better, but the lyra or the harp, Argent Adept could have Naturalist use his power. He could use this to get the rhino out, and I guess that would save the environment damage a little bit. I don't know. I'm gonna turn this into 2-part video. To be continued. Leave your vote in the comments as to what I should do. We'll get back to you in 6 days. Man, this is rough. Okay, well. This would certainly do 5 energy damage, taking Deadline down to 4. So if I put out Vernal Sonata with Argent Adept, everyone will regain 1 hit point. I could use Conduct, because I don't want to increase anyone's damage on the flip side, and if I Conduct, I can potentially get the harp or the lyra, which will let the Naturalist into the rhino form. And so Naturalist will take fewer damage from the environment destruction, so also take fewer damage from the self-damage. So I think the best way to do that, like I could use K.N.Y.F.'s power on Naturalist. I could also do it on Argent Adept, and this will give Argent Adept 2 chances to reveal the card that he wants to see. Because the environment's not going to hit Deadline, right? This deals hero targets, this deals hero targets, this regains hit points, this reveals levels, this is old level, and that's the structure. So I think we're going to do this on Argent Adept. I think that's the best option we have. 1 player other than you may play 1 card now as the accompany. That might be useful. Definitely in play. And Battlefield Experience. When this card is destroyed, you may draw 1 card and play 1 card, deal damage, destroy this card. Yeah, K.N.Y.F.'s not surviving. So I could put the Subdominant out. Actually, in order to be able to use... Ugh. If I get an instrument, in order to be able to use it, I need to use the Subdominant's power. So I guess I have to Subdominant Nocturnal Sonata. So this is even worse. Bottom card of my deck. Not the thing. No. Okay, one player other than me may play a card now. I am not the Gazelle, so environmental allies will not save us from the environment damage. We could potentially Shifter's Strength twice to potentially draw the Rhino. Predator's Eye. Increased damage dealt to Deadline by 1. Drop the 2 cards, deal 1 target 3 minus the number of cards drawn this way. So that's 3 if I don't draw anything because I have to go balls to the wall. 3 Nemesis bonus, Crocodile bonus is 5. Well, if I had actually been risky and hit Deadline with 5 points from K.N.Y.F e, that actually would have allowed me to win the game. So that sucks. I think Shifter's Strength twice is probably the best. For the greater good, again, is not going to do anything. And this card isn't going to do anything. Argent Adept can't play a card with this. Expatriette could prevent 3 points. Wait. Oh, she doesn't have that yet. Sorry, I thought I saw something else. This is an ammo. This is damage retaliation. This is reveal 2 equipments, put 1 into play, 1 into the deck. Yeah. Come on, Naturalist. Reveal something good. We get the Indomitable Force, which would reduce damage dealt to the Naturalist. It's at least something. And another one. So do I guess it doesn't matter if he gets the Rhino out or the Indomitable Force, but we'll do Shifter Strength, discard an Indomitable Force, and the card drawn is Threatening Stomp. Threatening Stomp's gonna do 6 points of damage, which again would have won the game had I had K.N.Y.F hit it. I'm honestly debating just saying, okay, I'm sacrificing the mint just so I can get the near mint. If I rewind to K.N.Y.F's power phase, I can win the game and get a near mint. So let's think. So yeah, that's not gonna. So Indomitable Force would probably keep Naturalist alive through multiple instances of damage. It will reduce. He'll take 2 fewer damage from the Orgenesis, and he'll take 3 less from the environment's destructions. So that's 5 points saved. Because he's going, since he has the Crocodile out, he's going to be doing himself too much damage. Alright, guys. This is a cheat. If you use Undo, you'll be unable to earn a mint cover for this one-shot. I've, to this day, not done this. But I really doubt that I can pull this off. So mint is sacrificed. So I was going to be balls to the wall, and then I chickened out. Had I not chickened out, we would have minted. So I don't think it really matters what this is. I'll just put the Subdominant out. Put the bottom into play. And now, I think it's even better. Use Zoo's Bell. Use the Syncopated Onslaught on K.N.Y.F, or on Naturalist, rather. And I don't think the, well, Yeah, if I use Predator's Eye, I've basically won regardless. I'm just gonna stop. I can rewind to my heart's content now. One player other than me may play a card. So Naturalist, Predator's Eye. Increase damage dealt to deadline. Don't draw cards. That wins the game. So before anyone says why couldn't I have done that? Remember, I didn't know that Inventive Preparation was on the bottom of Argent Adept's deck. And I only knew that once I used K.N.Y.F.'s base power to put it into play. Had I said, okay, I'm just going to use the damage dealing power and hope to get lucky. Instead, I try to play a little safer and try to get an instrument. Because the instrument would have gotten me a victory as well, and it would have been more planned. But I played safe and I lost. Had I played risky, I would have won. I mean, I did win, but I near minted, so. Sorry to disappoint you all, but I near minted this one. So, let's see. So, assuming that the environment only played one card, and Deadline only got one Catastrophe out, one of the Catastrophes would have played an environment card. So there would have been 4 environment cards in play. Actually, no. There would have been 5, because the 2 Argentices would have played 1 each. So Naturalist would have taken 2 hit points twice from that. He'd have taken 4. Then the 5 environments will be destroyed, so Naturalist would hit himself for 2 damage 5 times. So 10 plus 4 is 14. That's his hit points right now, fun fact. Even though we haven't gotten to the Catastrophe destruction part of it, where he would have destroyed... Well, I guess he didn't have to play a Catastrophe to flip, but if he had destroyed 3, he would have dealt 4 damage to Naturalist. So Naturalist was dead for sure. In fact, everyone was dead. 2 and 2 and 4 is enough to just kill everyone. I guess 2 and 2 and 3 technically, so theoretically Prime Warden's Argent Adept would have survived with 1 hit point. So yeah, I think I was screwed. Okay, since I got near mint on this, I'm sure that a lot of people are going to be struggling with this one. So hopefully those of you who are watching this in hopes of figuring out how to win this, please watch this video all the way through. I mean, it's in the title, near mint. So please watch it all the way through instead of saying, okay, Lude played this card next, then what he did. Oh, use this power next. I'm going to do that too. No. Watch it all the way through and then realize where I rewinded. And then not do that thing. Alright, well, thank you for watching. Hope you enjoyed this. And I'll be back next week.